for Mr. Ledford's taxes?
Yes, sir.
Did you speak with Mr. Larry Lee about today's hearing?
Excuse me?
Did you speak to Mr. Larry Lee about today's hearing? The council to mind.
Yes, when he called and asked me if I could come, and I told him at that time I could not come because my husband had had a stroke and he's critical. And I did, but I made arrangements today for CNA to come and stay with him so that I could be here. And I told Mr. Ledford so. And I also told him, I said, you do know that I do other people in this county's income tax. So he said, well, I will subpoena you. So he did. And I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Did you and Mr. Lee speak about Mr. Ledford's address at any time during that conversation?
Not that I recall.
Did you speak at any time about Mr. Ledford's physical address during this conversation?
With Mr. Lee?
Yes, ma'am.
Not that I recall.
I'm going to wait for that.
We will wait until the plane goes through.
Did you prepare Mr. Ledford's taxes for this past tax year?
Not for 13, I haven't.
Okay. Did you prepare Mr. Ledford's taxes for 2012?
Yes, sir.
Recently, has Mr. Ledford or his wife Ramona come to your office to pick up any materials?
Mrs. Ledford came by on March the 7th. I was not in the office, but she left me a note that she needed a couple of copies of their income taxes or the front pages, which she didn't come back to pick them up, so I did not run them. But she was in my office like last fall,
Okay.
and she and I had a conversation about, I was asking how John's doing and all about it, and she said, asked her where he was now, and she said he was living in.
Your Honor.
We would object to hearsay, right? Hearsay.
Your Honor, the North Carolina's evidence are relaxed here. I spoke to Mr. Laws about the hearsay issue, and I also spoke to in-house counsel at the Board of Elections, and it's my understanding that hearsay is allowed. Mr. Laws, your opinion on this?
You all are not lawyers. The statute that covers this hearing specifically says that 8C, which is their code of evidence, will apply. I did speak to Mr. Don Wright, who is State Board of Election Counsel, and he did advise that these are relaxed rules given. What I would ask you to do would be to allow as much evidence as you could into the record. You will need to give that evidence, what it said, weight regarding its credibility, noting that hearsay evidence in a street hearing is not permitted even in its evidence, and certainly not given as a reason to support finding fact. So I think you could allow what was said into the record, but when you are considering what is said regarding finding fact, allow it the appropriate way. You should get that out of it.
Please, is there something specific that's been said here that you object to?
Don't know what's going to be said, please. And I'm not going to have, at least not quickly, the ability to
that affidavits were permissible. And if affidavits are permissible, and we lack the ability to cross-examine the applicant based on their testimony, seems to me like the same principle applies here.
Boy, this job of being solved is tougher than I thought it would be. At this point in time, Ms. Bleak, you have some rebuttal to what Mr. Weaver has said.
Well, and let me prefix this, Mr. Smathers, by saying, when he and I bark at each other,
Yes, sir.
we're going to be sharing a cup of coffee 5 minutes later. So don't, that's the nature of that okay? I have two comments. First is, I do not believe that affidavits would be admitted into this kind of proceeding. Number one. Number two, and this is purely procedural. In a court, it's generally one lawyer against one lawyer at a time. Whoever takes a lawyer as a witness is the person who deals with all issues involving that witness. It has been the other counsel who's been dealing with this witness, and I think it ought to be him who addresses all this issue, and that way I might not be hopping up twice.
Thank you, Ms. Bleak. I tried to educate myself on procedural issues here. I've had conversations with Don Wall, I've had conversations with Don Wright, I've had conversations with some expert people in this county who don't practice law, but they have opinions. But if you read the great book there, what we're talking about here, in this part of the hearing, it is relaxed. And the advice I got from Mr. Wall was to let as much into the record as we possibly could. We're going to move forward with that advice from the county attorney, and we'll certainly entertain objections. You've been great. Mr. Hyde, you're back home?
Yes, sir. Mr. Walker, you were continuing about the conversation that you had with Mrs. Ledford.
Yes, she was in my office back last fall, and I always asked about John. I always asked how everybody's doing, and I asked her where he was living, and I didn't know if he was back in Raleigh or what, and she said, no, he's in Barnersville, and she had lost her father, and she was doing all this other. I have no idea what county Barnersville's in, because I'm not even associated with this. I live in Hayden County.
Yes, ma'am. Did you have a conversation at that time with Mrs. Ledford about Mr. Ledford running for sheriff?
No, I did not.
Mr. Ledford's running for sheriff didn't come up any time during that conversation?
No, sir.
Where did Mrs. Ledford ask those papers to be mailed to?
I wasn't in the office. She just left a note and said that she needed the 2 front copies of 11 and 12. That's all she needed. She didn't say to mail them or anything, and I just assumed she was going to come pick them up.
Is that what she did at a later time?
No. Nobody picked them up.
So does your office still have those materials?
Yes, we do.
What was the address? What was the address listed for the Ledfords on those materials?
I've got to stop here just a second. We're getting into waters here that deal with the hearing about Mr. Ledford's residency, and really what and it may be more appropriate to hear that stuff later down the road. What we're talking about right now is Mr. Wallen's ability to hear the case bearer.
Your point is well. as courtesy to this witness, who I have drug over here, and who I was going without your inquiry as counsel, Mr. Laws, that we shouldn't just, we regularly kind of divide and separate things and take them out of order and basically seek their permission just to deal with it. My questions out here I thought were going to be very limited. They've gotten a little bigger, but I would think it would be a shame to make this lady, given everything else you've got going, have to sit back there and wait till mid-afternoon. So if everybody else is good, I'm good with us asking whatever we want to ask.
Thank you. Mr. Weezer, it's the first time we ever had 3 lawyers on the floor at one time, and,
Our purpose, if Mr. Leak would agree, would be to dismiss her so she can go back to Louisville and be with her husband after we're done.
that's a great idea.
If we may hear her out of order for her convenience.
You're okay.
Yes, sir, I am. I
Remember, they're the same size.
Yes, sir.
So there you go, give me 2 to 1 again.
Mr. Law, are we okay to proceed with things outside the realm of Mr. Wallen's qualifications here today?
Both parties and your counsel have consented to hear him this witness out of order, and I think it's fine to proceed in that matter.
If you'll allow me, I have to change pad and paper, and Ms. Tyson may proceed.
Mr. Walker, would you please, would you go on with what you were getting out of your bag?
I had to write down the addresses. The address is Post Office Box 358, Mars Hill, North Carolina. That was the address I had for Mr. and Mrs. Edwards.
In your experience as an accountant, is it common for materials like those to be sent to a post office box?
A lot of people use post office boxes for their mail, especially income tax or whatever.
Is there any requirement in the preparation of those materials for you to know a physical address of any kind?
No, sir, there is not. There is not.
Did the contents of your conversation with Mrs. Ledford include anything else?
No, sir.
Then, Mrs. Shorewalker, I just have a couple more questions, and then we'll be done. Shifting back to your conversation with Mr. Wallen about Mr. Ledford's post office box, what was Mr. Wallen's demeanor whenever the two of you had that conversation?
Well, I just commented to him that I did not have a physical address. And he said, well, all you have to say is what post office box, Marshall, North Carolina. That's it.
Did he point or wag his finger at you?
He said, Jerry's always like this stuff. He's good at that. And he said, all you need to say is that it's post office box, Marshall, North Carolina. He did not say post office box number because he didn't know it. He said, that's all you have to say.
I asked that the record reflect that the witness was wagging her finger back and forth to indicate Mr. Wallen's demeanor at that time. How would you describe his demeanor as excited, agitated, angry, any of those words? Do those describe Mr. Wallen's demeanor at that time?
We would object to that.
Let's finish that with just this answer, okay?
Yes, sir.
I think I sort of irritated Mr. Wallen, because I was fussing because I was having to come and didn't know where to go to and didn't know what I was going to do. And I think and I just kept saying, you know, I think this is such a shame and that we have to do all this. And I was more irritated than anybody, but I think I did irritate him a little because I'm very verbal and I say what the right thing.
That's sufficient?
Yes, sir, it is. I have no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Lee, you have some things to ask?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Luke, if I can, I do have one follow-up question from something on the state, if that's okay.
I think Mr. Laws would be one to address that. Normally, I would go.
Yeah, I think we need to let Mr. Lee go next, and then we'll continue this. We'll everybody have an opportunity.
Thanks, Sid. And again, my apologies for having to inconvenience you. Being a former Madison County lawyer as opposed to Hayward lawyer, I don't have fancy notebooks. But I have some exhibits that I will share at this point because there's no need for I need to share with you gentlemen Mr. Laws.
Okay, Mr. Lee, you're asking for all of this to be entered in one
Not
time?
this time.
Okay.
I'm just making it available for all of us to have having something we can look at simultaneously. And you're going to be skipping through it, kind of skipping through the toolbox the way you catch things. If I get close to this nice lady and show it to her with some trepidation, but she might hit me.
We'll not allow that.
And I'm going to show you a document that's been marked as forward. And I'll ask you if that appears to be the tax return for 2011. And it in fact shows post office box, the post office box that you left. Then I'm going to show you what's marked as Exhibit 5. And I'm going to ask you if that appears to be the 2011 state tax return.
Yes, it is.
And for the ladies, shows the same post office box. And these tax returns are made subject to penalty of perjury, they're not. And the state tax return very specifically calls for address, the county address.
Yes, it does. They can read the addresses in. This is Mooresville, and it came out Madison County. We were all trying to fix it up.
Well, now, you're a computer person. When I'm filling out the ink, we fill them in by ink. It says Madison, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does.
And it was signed by them, 2011,
Yes.
2012, under penalty of perjury. That was the address shown on exhibit in 6 and 7 for the 2012.
Because Mooresville is considered in Madison County because of that address.
Well, didn't you tell me that Lamont, Kentucky was that Madison Street Road?
Yes, Madison County.
Okay. Now, you are a very forthcoming lady. You told me, amongst other things, that you did your Harwood taxes.
Yes, I did.
I have been since told by my client you did taxes for the whole law enforcement community in Western North Carolina.
Just about.
So if I get in trouble, I'm going to be coming to see you. But I'm a little, I think I understand, when Jerry Wallen, who I gather you've done taxes for a long time?
Yes.
nothing unusual about him showing up at your office this time of year.
No, I called him when his taxes were ready.
So you called him, that resulted in him coming to pick up his return.
Right.
And when you made that call to him, did you have any thought of this in mind? Did you know he was on the county board of elections?
I had no idea.
When you engaged in this conversation, you began the conversation with that guy, right?
I had no idea he was on the election board.
So, and you were irritated, and did he at any point say, I'm on the board of elections?
He told me that I said, I have to be there Monday morning at 9:30. I have no idea where I'm going. And we talked for a minute, he said, well, I have to be there at 9:32. And I said, did you get subpoenaed? And he said, no, I didn't get subpoenaed. I'm on the election board. And I said, holy cow.
So he was probably saying, holy cow too, wasn't he?
Probably was. I was just raising the...
As both of you were trying to get out the door at that point. Now, but I'm a little perplexed with this. I'm hearing all kinds of things that I knew nothing about, and they did. How did they learn about this Lamont elected conversation we had?
Do not ask me.
You've not had any conversation with either one of them.
No, today's the first day I've seen those.
But yet somehow they knew to ask you a question about a conversation that you had with one of your many clients, and you don't know how.
Well, probably, Buddy Ledford's wife was in my office. She brought her income tax to me. Harwood, I'm sorry. And we just had a conversation, and I said, well, I've got to go Monday morning, and I have no idea where I'm going. So it was just a conversation.
So you may have shared that with
I may have shared that with her.
Now, help me with time of year of that conversation with Mrs. Levitt. You say it was fall.
It was probably in the fall of 2013. She came by.
Do you know why she was there at that occasion or at that time?
No, I have no idea. Maybe to pick up a copy of something that she didn't have.
Did it have been as early as August?
I can't say. I could go back on my calendar and look, but I cannot say what date.
So it could perhaps.
It could have been anywhere from July on, but I cannot tell you.
Those would be my questions. Thank you, ma'am. And again, my apologies. And we just wanted there to be no question that those would return. Thank you.
Link, the 4 pages you referenced, are you asking for those to be submitted to the record?
Our rules typically say that we do that when we're presenting evidence.
Okay.
So if and when that time comes, it's my time to do that, then I will do it. Yes.
This is my first attempt at this.
You're doing well.
With consent of Mr. Lee, I would allow all the exhibits that he prepared to be admitted without objection that he handed out. Just because we had her on the stand and we've taken her out of order, instead of, I'm speaking to Mr. Laws now for the record, I don't want there to be some convoluted, he did admit it now, and there's no gamesmanship here. In good faith, we've asked Ms. Schulhoff to come from Waynesville. She has a health issue. I'm not going to raise some issue that Mr. Lee didn't do something procedurally the right way.
So let's just say we would move with that stipulation to formally admit exhibits 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yes.
And the chair will allow that and be duly noted, and you've got a copy. You will not.
We'll get a copy.
We will give you a copy. Okay. Redirect of this lady
I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Well,
Very well.
I have one question, and we stayed away from real pointed issues here, and I don't want to be the first one to raise this, but I've got to ask. When you had this conversation with Mr. Wallen in your office, do you think that you were being told what was testified to?
I just think that Mr. Wallen wanted me to know that I didn't have to be, real evasive. All I had to say was, say the post office box, Mars Hill, North Carolina.
You almost answered the question.
Okay? I almost did, okay?
I'm assuming that we're here to hear the proof, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and all Washington, D.C., and all that's supposed to be said. Was he telling you to be just a little bit evasive?
He was just trying to tell me that I didn't have to be,
Truthful?
he was just maybe trying to soothe my feathers because I was upset, but he just let me know that all I had to say was it was post office box, and he didn't fuck the box. Sure, he didn't know it. Mars Hill, North Carolina.
Were you being intimidated?
No.
You don't look like you could be.
I don't think I've ever been intimidated.
You don't think Mr. Wallen was advising you as a member of this board? You do realize this is serious business.
Yes,
and
it
you may
is.
get some people involved.
It is
We won't get
serious.
it right this time.
It is serious business, and I think he was just telling me that that's all I had to do. I don't have to worry about physical address.
That was from his mouth.
He did not tell me I didn't have to worry about physical address. He just told me. And I think he was trying to make me realize I did not have to worry about a physical address.
Was he giving you advice?
I don't know if you'd call it advice. I think he was just trying to help me feel comfortable with what I had to come over here and say today.
And you've answered everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're through with the attorneys.
I would say Mr. Leeds, Senator, but
Excuse me, actually, I have a question. Ma'am, in context with the conversation about Mr. Wallen, it was really in regards towards some millage taxes that being John Member, correct?
Excuse me?
On where it's millage on Member's taxes too. Was that not the original context of the conversation?
Didn't understand. I didn't hear you.
If I heard you correctly, originally, the whole context of the conversation was where it's millage on Member's taxes too, am I correct?
It was me coming here today.
We did with the laws we have.
I'm asking.
Ms. Hyde.
I ask that she be dismissed this time.
And the chair agrees, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you next.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? Ms. Hyde, regarding Mr. Wallace's building here today?
That concludes my question of the issues regarding Mr. Wallen.
Okay. Mr. Lee, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
at this time, sir, I would like to make a motion that, based on the testimony presented, that Mr. Jerry Wong recused himself from hearing this. I believe the testimony has indicated that he has violated the rules as set forth by law regarding the impartiality of a Board of Elections member.
Okay. Members of the board, Mr. Weegay, Mr. Long have recommended that. And
I think at this point, this is just a motion directed to Jerry to direct, elect out Jerry.
Okay, well, I think first we need to see if there is a member of the board that would like to follow that recommendation.
I think what we've been doing is actually, when we went to Mr. Gibson, we asked Mr. Gibson if he.
Okay.
Start
there?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I will not skip that.
Your Honor, at this time, based on Mr. Long's response, I would now make a second motion to the board that the board make a motion to have Mr. Long removed for the purposes of the hearing in this matter regarding John Ledford's candidacy and residency in Dun Sullivan.
We have heard counsel for these three plaintiffs who are citizens of Madison County. There are motion from the member of the board that we recuse Mr. Wallen from serving in this matter. Sufficient time has been allowed to the chair, and we will move on with our proceedings then. Understanding, Mr. Weegay, Mr. Rahman, that this will go further than this courthouse here in Madison County. And but we have, I trust that I'm good judgment. At this point in time, I will turn the chairmanship of this board back over to Mr. Andy Gibson, the duly elected chair.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Okay, folks, if we can at this time, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. We're going to take a 10-minute break. It appears to me with my poor eyesight to be about 11:15. Let's reconvene about 11:25.
Hard to hear where I am.
Well, yeah, and they're very kids in school, they're more I want to hear you. Oh, yeah. Brother, hey, Andy.
Yes, sir.
I have a word. Just a quick. I don't know. Who's that? Well, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I mean, I like the acoustic support.
When you get into big numbers, they should be able to criminal. Yeah. That wasn't murders. That only murders they have. Oh, yeah? Which is not ridiculous.
I can't, there's no light. No matter which way you look.
That's good.
That was fun back in the day.
Yeah, think it over.
Okay, I'll give you a second.
If you choose to let somebody else.
No, sir.
Folks, we could spend time to see real quick, we're going to get started again. This time I'm speaking with the attorneys, Mr. Leach, sir, your client obviously has burden of proof today under general statute. And thereafter, Mr. Leach presents his case, you will follow. Essentially what we've been doing so far.
The burden proof rests upon us, but the burden of persuasion, which is going forward with the company civil procedure, rests on the other side.
Mr. Mr. I'm sorry.
He does have a burden of proof, but the challenge is going to
Challenge.
go first.
And folks, what we're going to do here, essentially, we're going to have cross-examination, a little bit back and forth, just like we've been doing until all questions have been exhausted for the most part. So, I guess at this time, sir, we'd like to proceed with the evidence.
Yeah. Allow him.
Excuse me. There is an opportunity for an opening statement. I would say in the interest of time, if we could limit that to 5 minutes. If you would like to make an opening statement.
I have a brief one if I could. My name is David Reach, I'm from Cambridge County Bar. I'm here before the Board of Elections today representing 3 citizens and residents of Madison County in regard to the challenge of candidates of Mr. Ledford to run as sheriff of Madison County. In preparing for this case, I learned that there's a difference between legal terminology that we use on a daily basis, those 2 words being residency and domicile. I'd like to talk to you all about that for just a moment, just a bit. I'd like to ask, when you all are considering evidence to, as Mr. Law stated, keep an open mind and put on me the burden of persuading you all. In doing that, my burden is the preponderance of the evidence. As I like to tell people to consider evidence, preponderance, it's not a murder trial where we have to present evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. To me, if it's a football game, a preponderance of evidence is the 51-yard line. If the scale tips ever so slightly from one side to the other, then I have met my burden. The challenged opponent has the burden of proving that they are domiciled in Madison County. To use that word domiciled, I'll get to that in a minute. In receiving testimony, we've already heard from one witness. We have to listen to we have to weigh their credibility in listening to what they say. Credibility is the honesty and believability. You, the panel, have to live here after this decision is made. You have to live with the decision for the rest of your lives. You have to live with honor of the truth and the burden of lies which are spoken here. I would ask that in requiring us to prove our burden, you look to the statutes and the case law. In looking to this, you must realize that the sheriff's statute requires someone to be a resident when they file. However, in challenging a resident, they must prove domicile. Black's Law Dictionary, which is considered a learned treatise which the Supreme Court of the United States refers to, states, residency means living in a particular locale, but domicile means living in that locality with the intent to make it a fixed and permanent home. Residency simply requires bodily presence as an inhabitant in a given place, while domicile requires bodily presence in that place and also the intention to make it a permanent domicile. There are 3 landmark cases in North Carolina which we use as guidance, which have been the law of North Carolina for the past 60 years. That case starts out, Owens versus Chaplin, in 1948. It was then referred to in the 1970s in the Hall case, and then in Farnsworth in 1994. In these cases, which we will refer to throughout our examination of witnesses, it refers to domicile. Domicile is a higher burden than residency. By Mr. Ledford becoming a challenged opponent, he not only has to prove residence, he has to prove domicile. And domicile is what you all have to look at as the board to see as the burden that he has to persuade you to. Not the burden of residency. As the challenge candidate, he has to persuade you to the burden of domicile. In order to have a domicile, he has to have an actual abandonment of a prior residence with a fixed or ordinary residence left in its place. This is an objective standard. In order for him to claim that Madison County is his residence, he has to show you his burden is an objective standard that he has voluntarily relinquished all rights, title, claim, and the right or intent to reclaim a prior domicile. And he has to show that where he is residing is his fixed, permanent, ordinary dwelling. Let me say again that this is different from the sheriff's statute, which is required in filing. Both sides are going to be presenting evidence today. There's going to be some affidavits presented today, and I would ask that you look at the evidence from both sides with an equal and unbiased eye. I appreciate the board's time in letting us present to you today.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lee,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council and I agree that domicile is really the legal term that we are looking for here today. The sheriff's statute and the county statute that deals with residency really has been interpreted by our courts to mean domicile. Domicile is that location where a person calls home. We disagree with what I heard you say. I may listen to you, that Mr. Ledford has to show an abandonment of the previous domicile, because our evidence is going to be that since he was 2, his domicile has been Madison County. And if that be the case, there's no way that you show the abandonment of anything. The statute which created what I view as being the anomaly of saying that the challenged person must prove his residency. We agree enacted, the legislative history would show, interpretations using that statute, really to deal with the situation of employment or affairment, as we now as a county would call it. When we move from a less desirable county such as Yancey over to Madison, and suddenly claim his home and run for office. So, again, we agree. The issue here is domicile. Where did John Ledford intend home to be? And we believe the evidence will be overwhelming that although he may not have always lived at his current residence, his home, in everybody's mind, particularly his family's mind, is Madison County. And that's what this case is about. Thank you.
Sir, at this time, if you would like to present your case,
Which call Lamona Ledford to the stand.
okay, from that letter, please. Yes.
John, Mr. Chairman, I will split back and forth calling you honor. I was just advised by the sheriff's department that he had a subpoena for Ms. Ledford. I just accepted the subpoena for John Ledford. You might inquire of your counsel or your record keeper whether there's been any return of subpoena addressed to Lamona Ledford. The subpoena that I was told about 15 minutes ago by the sheriff, I just accepted serious for John. So unless you've had contact, I don't know.
Sir, has there been any terms of your loss?
I am not aware that particular subpoena was sent to you by my office for service on her.
I have not seen a return of service, as in courts within the state. If she is present in the courtroom, she may be called to the stand. She was present in the courtroom.
She's here, she called it a record, I don't know if she's here.
Sir, I don't know if she's present or not.
Want to make an inquiry as to whether she's here?
Is a Lamona Ledford present today? Sir, it does not appear so. And again, I don't know, so I don't see anyone standing or raising their hand.
May I have a moment to confer with the sheriff's department to see if they have a return of service?
So I think that would be perfect.
Two copies of the subpoena, I have one for Mr. Ledford and one for Ms. Ledford. There's not any return on one of the, I still have that copy of that subpoena.
Does the sheriff's office have a record of it being served prior to today?
Not to my knowledge, the return of service with that subpoena has not been filled out, so I would assume that it's not been served, that the return is blank on the subpoena to her.
If the court reporter could indicate that that is the testimony. You got it?
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, if she's not present, I would then ask that Mr. John Ledford be called to the stand.
Mr. Ledford, please.
failed, has this board failed in its obligation to subpoena witnesses? I just need somebody to tell me that we're good procedurally, that we did the right thing.
Mr. Wickett,
Whichever problem.
have the subpoenas that you requested been issued by this board?
The subpoenas were issued by this board and turned around for service the day I received them. And I believe the sheriff's office has had sufficient time. It's not a surprise to me in any way. I would say from our side that the board did everything within their power timely to provide us with subpoena authority. And to that extent, as late as this morning, the chairman of the board was kind enough to issue another subpoena in a document involving himself, which we referred to but did not get into. So I have no complaints with any subpoenas issued or any procedure done by the board to this point. For the record.
Thank you, sir.
Mark Lee, could we make the same inquiry of your client?
What's that?
Have you actually asked the board to issue any subpoenas?
I have not. I took it from myself, although it may not have been technically correct. It would be well, Haywood County, I have no complaints with the board about that.
Thank you.
I've had complete cooperation from the board with regard to any concerns that I have.
Sir, it's time to continue, please.
Before I begin questioning Mr. Leonard, I have a housekeeping moment with three council.
Certainly.
For the board's convenience, I had requested subpoena be issued for documentation pertaining to Mr. Ledford's residency and domicile. And in Mr. Leake's documentation, which he handed up, which is yet to be presented into evidence, I'm going to be referring to those exhibits. If there's something missing, we can discuss it, but for the most part, I believe they made a good faith effort to provide that documentation. And as Mr. Leake presented or stated earlier, it is common for him to wait until his turn to present his evidence. At this time, if there's no objection, I'm going to ask that all of Mr. Leake's exhibits that were presented in this packet be admitted without objection from my side, so I'm going to be asking questions about them.
I have no objections to you asking questions, but let's see where things go.
Yes. Mr. Ledford, could you please state your name for the record?
John Ledford,
Where did you grow up, sir?
Madison County, North Carolina.
What year were you born here?
I was not born in Madison County, North Carolina. I came here at 2 years of age.
Okay.
I was adopted at 2 years of age.
Did you go to elementary school here?
Went to Mars Hill Elementary School and Madison High School.
Okay. When you graduated Madison High School, where did you go, sir?
Went to work in my family business, stayed here in Madison County.
Did you ever leave for a formal education, either at a community college or a university?
I attended basic law enforcement training at Asheville Technical College while residing here in Madison.
What years was that, sir?
1990.
Was that a 6-month, 1-year program?
No, that's the basic law enforcement, that's the officer certification program, becoming deputy sheriff.
Okay. What year did you complete that program?
It was in 1990, yes, sir.
What did you do after you completed that program? For work?
I became a deputy sheriff in Buncombe County, North Carolina,
How long did you work for the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office?
until September of 1993.
Where did you call home when you worked at the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office from 90 to 93?
Until 1991, I lived in Madison County, North Carolina. And then in 1991, when I was married, I moved to Buncombe County, North Carolina. That's where I reside.
Where did you move in Buncombe County?
I lived in a number of different apartments. I lived in West Asheville. I lived on the southern side of Buncombe County, and then I came back to Sugar Creek Road in Dillingham Road, Barnesville Community, Highway 197.
Who did you marry in 1991?
Lamona Banks.
In 1993, were you residing in Buncombe?
Yes, sir.
What happened in 1993 at the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office? Did you get a new position? Did you leave?
I changed jobs. I left the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office and became an agent with the North Carolina Division of Alcohol Law Enforcement, stationed in Asheville, North Carolina. That was the district office.
How long did you work there?
Until November of 1998.
Where did you reside from 1993 to 1998?
Sugar Creek Road.
Was it a house? Was it a condo apartment?
It was on a modular, double-wide mobile home that myself and my wife bought.
At that time, in 1998, where did you, strike that if I may, from 1993 to 1998, did you reside at Sugar Creek Road?
Yes.
Did you at that time receive all your mail to Sugar Creek Road?
I remember having a mailbox, post office box. I may have still got mail in Madison County. I'm just not sure on that. That's been so many years ago.
So if I understood your testimony correctly, you may have, not sure, may have had a mailbox in Madison County where you may have had some mail while you resided in Sugar Creek Road with your wife in Buncombe County.
No, what I'm saying is I may have received mail at a not a post office box, but a mailbox at my parents' where I lived. But I know I had it in Barnesville. I had a post office box at one time and a mailbox at another because they kept knocking it down.
Thank you. In 1998, did your occupation change?
It did.
What happened?
I became the elected sheriff of Madison County.
You ran for this in 1997 or 1998?
1998.
So you ran for sheriff in 1998 while residing at Sugar Creek Road in Buncombe County?
No.
Okay, tell me.
I may have confused you there.
You did. I'm sorry.
In November, I believe November of 1997, I took a leave of absence from alcohol law enforcement, which was required in order to seek political office, and moved back to the current apartment building I live in now. There were 2 apartments in that building. That address has changed numerous times because of 911 over the years in the county, but it's the same place I live now.
What happened to the home at Sugar Creek Road? Did you sell
It's been rental property since that time.
it? So you still own that?
We do.
At that time, in 1997, you said it was November of 97, is that correct?
Well, that sounds correct, yes, sir.
So in November of 1997, what was your wife Ramona doing for a living?
She could have been one of a number of jobs. I'm not sure. She could have been working for her family's business, which was Banks Trucking Company at that time. Or she could have been at Marsville College the first time. I just can't remember. I'm not sure on that.
Where is Banks Trucking located, sir?
So I guess it's Smoky Park Highway, Highway 1923 South, very near the Buffalo-Haywood County line.
At that time, did Lamona move into the home with you in Madison County, or did she stay in Sugar Creek and continue to work at either
No.
Banks Trucking or Marsville College?
No, she came to Madison County.
You got sworn in 1998 as sheriff. Did you purchase a new residence after you became sheriff?
At some point I did.
Where was that residence, sir?
I guess the address was 201 Miller Lane.
Is that in?
Madison County, yeah. It's Morris Hill, I suppose.
How long did you own that residence, sir?
I'm sorry.
How long did you own that residence?
That's a great question. 2 to 3 years. I'm just not sure on that. We own the residence, sold the residence. I'm not sure when we purchased it or when we sold it. Sometime during my tenure as sheriff.
I'm going to get back to your sheriff tenure and your occupational track in just a moment, but I would like to ask, during your tenure as sheriff, you said that, let me strike what I said you said. How many years did you say you lived at 201 Miller Lane?
How many years did I live there?
Ballpark estimate.
2, 3, it could be 4, it could be, but it was at least 2, it could be 5. Time flew.
Okay. After you moved out of Miller Lane, where did you move to?
Moved back to the same apartment that I live in now. Same apartment building.
Okay. And how long did you live there?
Until my appointment as a director of alcohol law enforcement in October 1st, 2009.
Give me just 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Let me get back on your career testimony. So from 1998 till October 1, 2009, you worked as the sheriff of Madison County.
That's correct, sir.
In October 1 of 2009, you were nominated by Beverly Perdue to become the director of ALE.
That's correct.
at that time, did you move to Raleigh? Did you rent an apartment in Raleigh?
I maintained the residence in Raleigh.
What was the address there?
3060 Hidden Creek Trail, or Hidden Pond Trail, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Did your wife go with you to that residence?
She did not.
Where did she stay, sir?
She stayed in Dillingham Road, Barnesville.
Okay. Is that 697 Dillingham Road, Barnesville?
That's correct.
At what point did she move from 2611 Old Mars Hill Highway in Madison County, North Carolina, to 697 Dillingham Road, Barnesville, in Buncombe County, North Carolina?
She began full-time residency there on October 1st or thereabout, 2009, and I maintained the apartment at 2611 Old Mars Hill Highway in Madison County.
When you say you maintained it, you're saying, if I understand this correctly, and I'm not testifying, I'm asking for your response, and there's a question. October 1, 2009, you're appointed, you go to Raleigh,
Right.
to 3060 Hidden Pond Trail.
Right.
She goes to 697 Dillingham Road.
That's correct.
And you maintained the address at 2611 Old Mars Hill Highway.
That's correct. The apartment, to clarify for you, the apartment sat empty, awaiting my return.
Forgive me, I didn't pay attention when the point was made. I don't know I don't know the answer when I'm going to ask, but is the tenure of a ALE commander a fixed term of 2, 3, 4 years? Is it at the pleasure of the governor?
It's possible to make it exempt. Pleasure to governor.
Is there a historic term to it? Is there a historic 2, 3, 4 year term or no?
No, I'd say, thinking back, the longest service one I know, I guess, was maybe 3 terms. Term will update.
What is a term? 4 years?
4 years, or the whatever date you are appointed into the governor's term. As you well know, the governor appoints a cabinet, and the cabinet fills out his positions. So mine was 3 years, 3 months old.
And the longest term you're saying would have been,
there was at least one director served under, I think, 2 different governors. So he served for one, maybe under another. But that was back late 80s to maybe early 90s. Been a long time ago.
when you went there, did you have an idea in your mind that you would be there for 1 4-year term, or did you have a different time set established in your mind?
I don't really know what I had in my mind as far as that goes, to be honest. I took it day by day there. Being in Raleigh was that's a difficult position to hold. So 3 years was a long time. I think that was realistic, but it could have gone longer had a Democrat governor been elected.
Really?
Really? No, elected, because Governor Perdue didn't run the second term. So
Right, okay.
so if Governor Dodd had won, then I more than likely would retain my position.
I understand, I apologize. So when you would come home on the weekends to see, when you would return to Western North Carolina to see your wife, you would go to 697 Dillingham Road in Barnesville?
That's correct.
Did your wife come down to see you from time to time as well in Raleigh?
She did, not often.
How often would you return here during a 2, 3, 6 month period?
As often as possible. I keep a lot of weekends. Some weekends my wife did come, or maybe other weekends my partner, who ended up being my deputy commander, his wife would come, and so when she came, we would stay in Raleigh. Or if we had something going on that I couldn't leave Raleigh, I stayed. But as often as I could, I came home.
Did you have your mail and other important documents sent to 697 Billingham Road during that time?
I probably did receive some mail there, but the preponderance of my mail usually came to 2611 Old Morrisville Highway, the post office box. My mother would check it. She lived right next door. And I also have a P.O. box, P.O. Box 358, which we've had for I don't know how long. And so those are the addresses that I knew the mail would come to. Those are the ones that usually got sent to.
Did you purchase the 697 Billingham Road, Barnesville property?
No, that belongs to then my in-laws, but now my mother-in-law owns it.
Do you pay the property taxes on that property?
I can't answer that. Whether my wife will pay the property tax on it or not.
I'm looking for direction to the board members, Mr. Lee and Mr. Laws, at the evidence tab of the binder that I handed up. In the back of that is a County of Buncombe, North Carolina web property tax notice. It looks like the document that I'm showing right now.
Is it under evidence?
It is under the evidence tab.
Which copy particularly are you referring to, sir?
It's in chronological order of all the years. I'd like to hand them all up at one time so that I can just approach one and give them to you.
Could you come a little closer and let me have a look at that? My eyesight is not the best in the world.
I'm actually going to request that I put them all in once I lay the foundation with them. In the evidence tabs for the boards and meetings, Mr. Laws, and Mr. Lee, I'm looking at the tax notices from 2007 to 2013. I'd like to submit them all in aggregate as one exhibit. I'm going to call this petitioner's exhibit number 2. I'd like to approach the witness.
This is going to keep rather than...
Yes, that is, I apologize, the binders that I've handed out are for everyone to keep. May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
Can I hand you what's been marked as petitioner's exhibit number 2. Those are property tax records.
Okay, sir.
For the Martinsville property in Buncombe County. From 2009 to 2013.
Okay.
Could you please tell me whose name that property tax is in?
It says C. John Ledford and Lamona Ledford.
Okay.
But can I explain upon that?
Yes, that's the reason I handed them up.
I know nothing of this document. I can tell you that I don't own this property. And I couldn't even offer a guess of why I would be paying property tax on this property in 2007. My father-in-law has since deceased. It may have now been transferred into my wife and my name, but I don't think so. We don't own this property.
When your father-in-law deceased, is it possible that property transferred to you all by his estate?
Absolutely not. The estate is still not settled.
Okay. So, via your testimony, you have no idea why that property is in your name?
Could this be cars?
No, sir.
It's-
Property tax.
I have no idea.
Could you receive personal property tax bills to that address, sir? For vehicles?
For vehicles?
Yeah, when you say that it could be for your vehicles, could that
My
be?
wife and my vehicle is, I received my tax notice in Madison County for my vehicle.
Do you have an explanation as to why your wife's vehicle may be taxed in Buncombe County and your vehicle in Madison County?
My vehicle has always been listed in Madison County since 2003. It's maintained in Madison County, stays in Madison County.
Even though you were residing in Buncombe County at Sugar Creek Road, you maintained your vehicle taxation here in Madison County?
That's correct. And the registration and such has always remained at that apartment.
But where you were actually living, your actual home, when you had your vehicle up here, was Sugar Creek Road, correct?
No. The Dillingham Road.
No, I said that wrong, I confused, I apologize. Let me restate that.
I have a residence at Dillingham Road, or my wife had a residence at Dillingham Road, and that's where I resided while I was coming home on the weekends. But my car stayed, I maintained or kept the apartment empty there in Madison County, and my taxes have always been paid in Madison County on my vehicle.
Okay. Your taxes have always been paid in Madison County
Yes, sir.
since 1993.
On my vehicle. Well, since you say 1993?
That's what you just stated.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's 2003. You have bills that should be in that list when I bought the vehicle, the one that's my car.
Okay.
It's always been taxed in Madison. I was living in Madison at the time I purchased the vehicle. It stays in Madison County.
When you were residing at Sugar Creek Road, did your tax notices go to Sugar Creek Road, or did they stay here in Madison County?
You're talking about Dillingham Road?
Sugar Creek Road, when you started out, after.
Well, I'm sure it probably came, I would assume it came to Sugar Creek Road. It would not come to Madison County that time. My wife was taking care of all that. She was bookkeeper, but I'm sure it will come to the Sugar Creek Road address or the post office box in Barnesville.
Okay.
I'm sure of that.
If I could ask you to look at these again. You'll notice it describes personal property, and it lists that personal property being located in Buncombe County and Barnesville with your name and your wife's name. Is that correct?
Is there anywhere that clarifies what personal property is talking about?
Madam President? Yes.
I can't hear.
I'm sorry, it says, under the property information section, it lists personal property and taxable value.
I understand now what's confusing is, this is the rental home on Sugar Creek Road, that still maintains, we rent, have rent, it comes to 697, Dillingham Road. It's not the residence of Dillingham Road, this is the one that's maintaining Sugar Creek Road, either I was confused or.
I just want to make sure, so.
Right.
Now I am confused, because if I'm understanding that it's the residence of Sugar Creek Road, and it's listed as personal property as opposed to real property, why would the residence at 697 Sugar Creek Road be listed as personal property as opposed to residential?
It would be, first, it wouldn't be 697 Sugar Creek Road. It would be, this is a mobile home with a retired title, so on a block foundation that is at Sugar Creek Road. And it's, I don't know, it's, okay. So, and it is apparently sent to my wife's address, because she always has to give taxes on that. Right. The resident at 697 Dillingham Road, we do not own.
I would move to admit petition exhibit number 2 in evidence.
Move Jason.
I may inquire of Mr. Wallace. I believe we're approaching that time, and you want me to keep going, sir.
We were going to go to 12:45.
I apologize. Very good, sir. When you so what year were you the director of ALE?
Until December 31st, 2012.
What happened then, sir?
I requested a reassignment back to a field agent position in Ashland, District 9.
Was that granted?
It was.
From October 1st, 2009 to 31 December 2012, did you rent out the residence located at 2611 Old Mars Hill Highway at any time?
And a portion of that time it was rented out.
Do you have any idea who it was rented out to at that time?
I believe that would be Mr. James Fish, or as I know him, Wayne.
During the time Mr. James, is it James Wayne Fish, Wayne James Fish?
It's James Wayne.
So we call Mr. Fisher.
Yes, sir.
During that time that was rented out to Mr. Fish, were you still receiving your mail to your mother's address?
Yes, still do. Well, it's not my mother's address, there's a mailbox there, side by side there in front of the apartment. And her house is adjacent to that.
Did Mr. Fish receive mail there as well?
He did, he does, or did.
Did the apartment come furnished or unfurnished?
It was unfurnished.
Did he provide his own furnishings?
I assume he did, because he had something he had to move out when I came back.
Did you ever go into the house to do any, did you ever go into this, did you ever enter the apartment for the purposes of inspection during the time he was out of there?
No, that would have been handled by my brother or my mother. That's who the rent would have gone to, and that's probably the one he'd been dealing with.
Why would it have gone to your brother, sir?
Just because he's there every day. His daughter, he picks up his daughter. My mother keeps her in the afternoons, and that's why I would assume he was the one that would talk to. And that's an assumption that I believe to be accurate.
Is this I'd like to turn the board's attention and Mr. Leak and Mr. Law's attention to the addresses. Segment the green tab. And there's a green tab address location of 2611 Old Mars Hill Highway.
Okay, so
There are actually two pictures which I'm going to mark as claims exhibit number 3. Petition exhibit number 3, sorry. Approach.
Yes, sir.
For the board, I'm looking at these two pictures as opposed to the overhead pictures. I'm looking at the face-on pictures of those. Identify the right mark as petition exhibit number 3.
okay, that's a photographic photo rather of the apartment building at 2611 Old Mars Hill Highway with the unattached garage and a corner photo of my parents' home.
Is that a true and accurate depiction of that property?
Yes, sir, appears to be.
At this time, I wish to admit petitioner's exhibit number 3 of evidence.
And that does include both pages, sir.
Sir?
That includes both pages.
Yes, it's the two front-on pages of petitioner's. With the chairman's permission, may I approach the witness to discuss the pictures?
And certainly, sir, speak through as counsel here.
You said that it's the left corner of the picture is your parents' residence,
Yes, sir.
with the right corner of the picture being the apartment that Mr. Fish lived in and the unattached garage. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Who made use of that unattached garage?
Myself and my brother.
And what was it used for?
Well, my brother has his boat there, and I maintain my car there, my personal vehicle there.
Okay. Did Mr. Fish put any of his personal belongings in that garage at any time?
Not that I know of, but, I mean, it's pretty full. I can imagine there'd be a whole lot to put there.
Did your parents put any of their personal belongings in there?
I think pretty much it's mine and my brother's.
Is that garage apartment owned by your mother?
It would be, yes, sir.
And the main homestead is owned by your mother as well?
That's correct.
Do you want some water or something?
No, it's not gonna be good, thank you, though.
What year did your parents buy that home?
I think they built the home, 64, 63, somewhere before 64 I was born.
Do you have any idea when the home was paid off?
Oh, I have no idea.
I ask this question with utmost respect. Is your father still alive?
No, it's not.
When did he pass?
April 10th, 2010. Correction, April 18th, 2010.
And when he passed, was that the residence that he lived in?
It was.
So now your mother is the only resident of the primary dwelling, the red brick house.
Unless one of us are sick and come home.
Right. And she looks after her grandchildren from time to time as they get off the bus and things like that.
They're almost grown now, but for many years she's picked up or kept my niece until her mother and father get off work. Yeah, so they're there quite regularly.
After you left in 2012 and asked for your field position, what county did you come back to?
I prepared to come back to Madison County. Mr. Pierce was in the residence, and we had given him stipulation that when I returned, he would have to seek other domicile or residence. In an effort to be fair to him, we gave him